Welcome to Proverbs 31 Creatives. My name is Brianna Coleman. I'm so excited for this new chapter in my walk with the Lord. My goal with this podcast is to encourage other women to grow their creativity, entrepreneurship, finances, life, health, and most importantly, grow closer to Jesus. I'll be having conversations with guests with anointed women in faith and learning right along with you. Are you ready to start your journey to become the creative Proverbs 31 woman you've always wanted to be? All right, let's go. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Proverbs 31 Creatives. I'm your host, Brianna Coleman. I hope you guys are having an amazing day so far. I have had quite the day. This is actually my second episode that I'm recording today. I had the opportunity to record with a in-person guest that you will see on the next episode. I'm so excited for you guys to be able to listen to that. So I've had a very long day, and I'm not used to recording 2 episodes in a day, but this has been such a fulfilling day and just so jam-packed with the Holy Spirit, and the Lord is just all over today. And I'm in awe of what the Lord is doing, and I'm just so excited to be a part of it. Today is going to be a little different today. I am just going to go ahead and get right into it. I have an announcement to make, and this has not been an easy decision, but it wasn't, let me rephrase. It wasn't an easy decision at first, but the Lord is all over this decision. And before you see it on social media, I want you to hear it from me. For those that have been with me from day one, and there are a few of you, thank you so much. Thank you for supporting the show, supporting me, giving words of encouragement, for praying for me, for pouring into myself to uplift me and just to speak life into myself, into this show, into this mission. This last, I think it's like 15 months, so like a year and some change, has just been absolutely incredible. It has been so impactful. I have grown in so many different ways from producing this show. My relationship with the Lord has grown quicker and faster than I ever expected. So many revelations from the Lord that I did not have before. Incredible guests and conversations that need to be had. I mean, we have 50 episodes of this show. I think might be the 50th episode. And I think we had at least 20 guests in that 50 episodes. So, I mean, a lot of conversations, a lot of kingdom conversations, and I am so unbelievably grateful for these last 15 months and 50 episodes of Proverbs 31 Creatives. And the best part is that we are just getting started, but maybe not the way that I originally planned. The Lord spoke to me in 2024 at a high school age conference that I was going to start speaking. And that utterly terrified me, considering I still am an introvert. But that really scared me. Like, I had a full-on Mia Thermopolis throw up in the bathroom kind of moment when the Lord told me this, and then for it to be immediately confirmed, like, you're not running away from this one. For it to be immediately confirmed as the Lord is telling me this. And just that was one of the most supernatural experiences I've ever had, and I will never forget it. But I went to a high school age conference at the age of 25, and I was not a leader, but like my group, my women's small group I was a part of at that time went because we had connections with the church and the school and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I was there in the first place. And I didn't expect the Lord to impact my life at a high school conference at the age of 25 the way that he did. And shortly after that conference is when Proverbs 31 Creatives was born, because at that time, the Lord was beginning to show me all of the creative women that were in my life that I had just moved across the country. I really didn't have any friends. But then at that time, like the church I was going to, I was starting to realize the amount of women that had these creative talents that were worshiping the Lord with these creative talents. And so I just saw a really cool community really coming together that I wanted to be a part of. Like I wanted to meet other Christian women creatives, and there's still nothing wrong with that. And I still have such a place in my heart for Christian women creatives, is that the Lord can use artists to spread the gospel, to show others a freedom in the Lord that maybe that religion does not give them, is using creativity to break that traditional mold of worshiping the Lord. And so that is why I really loved it, is because it was such a freedom that the Lord showed me. Like it was just different, you know, it was different from the religion that I was so used to. And so the Lord revealed all this to me back in February of 2024. The show then launched in August of 2024, a couple months obviously in between there. And then a couple weeks after the show had launched, because I was so, how do I say this? Because I was so ingrained and fixated on the fact that it was women using their creative talents. That's just not something I had ever seen before. I really had to check my heart, if I'm going to be so honest and vulnerable for a second. Yes, women's ministries are so needed in the kingdom. There are topics that women can talk about, such as things like abortion, that maybe a man cannot talk about as, I don't even know what the word is. Obviously a woman, we give birth. And so we give birth to children. And so that's an issue. Yes, men are involved, obviously. But that is an issue that really hits home for women, because that is obviously we give birth to the child. And so I understand that we do need women's ministries. There are so many that are making such an impact that are so needed in the kingdom. But I also felt like at that time, a couple weeks into the show, again, because I was so fixated on this being a women's ministry, when I saw the analytics, and I want to say like 3 to 4% of the listeners were men, I had to fix my heart. And the only way I can kind of describe it is a Christian version of feminism. And I believe that because women in ministry for so long, we have had to fight for our place, or we felt like we had to fight for our place, because religion has told us to sit down and be quiet, and we don't want to hear you. You have nothing nice to say. You have nothing that is of importance. And so when women sometimes get, and I was in that boat, when women get the chance to speak into declare the word of the Lord, if they are not, and this is where I think I was, is that if I was not even comfortable with the idea of being behind a mic, like it was still so uncomfortable for me. When I got the chance to be behind a mic, I felt like I had a white knuckle grip on it. And that is something that the Lord really had to work with me on. This is a whole conversation, and I really feel like I could do a whole episode on it. And I have a couple guests in mind that I really want to touch on this, because I believe that this is not just a me thing. This is a kingdom conversation that needs to be had, is the Christian version of feminism. And because, like I said, religion has just told us to shut our mouths for so long, but this is a real topic that is not being talked about. And from the beginning, the Lord showed it to me that this would be a kingdom conversation, that we would be having kingdom conversations, that this would be a place that conversations would be happening that maybe was not even happening in the church. And so within the four walls of the church, and that this would be a place that could really amplify that message and on topics such as the one I just mentioned with like the Christian version of feminism. But I have had so many incredible guests. I mean, we have gone all over the board, from ex-witches, entrepreneurs, authors, speakers, women in the fitness industry, coaches, homemakers, so many others. Again, kingdom conversation. And honestly, like I was even looking over my episodes, and to be honest with you, like, yes, my podcast is called Proverbs 31 Creatives, but like some of these conversations, they had nothing to do with creativity. And so, but they were just such good conversations. Again, kingdom conversations that needed to happen. One thing that the Lord really showed me after walking through all of these interviews is the passion that He has put inside me for asking the important questions and getting down and digging deeper into the root of things, like figuring out why this happened, or why did this person make that decision, or the ripple effect that then was consequences for this or consequences for that, or the Lord really moving in atmospheres, and like what was that like. And so in walking with the Lord through struggle and testimonies and hearing these incredible, incredible testimonies. Shortly after the launch of 513 Media, the Lord really began to stir my heart with this concept of kingdom conversation. And this time, though, the conversation was changing. With that being said, this will be the last episode of Proverbs 31 Creatives. This is so bittersweet because I have loved every single second of this show, of this season of, building this community. But at the same time, yes, this is the end of Proverbs 31 Creatives. But we are just getting started. So the show is not going anywhere. The mission has stayed the same, but it has gotten larger, wider, and deeper. In September, the Lord started prompting my heart, widening the conversation to both men and women. Again, to have kingdom conversations. And when I started to feel this, I wrestled with this so much. I did not see this coming. And you guys can believe me on this because I just worked to put an 8-foot long board together for a backdrop for this. And that sits behind me right now that I am going to be redoing. So you guys can 100% vouch that I did not see this coming. But I started to feel this prompting shortly after launching 513 Media. And I wrestled with it for a while because definitely my ego, definitely not wanting to let it go because I have poured so much effort into growing this brand, growing into this show. And I finally just took it to the Lord and I said, okay, God, I said, you have stewarded this show up until now. You have given me guidance. You have even prompted me to start it. I know I have trusted you from day one to even, like I said, to even launch this show. And so I know you know what you are doing. I'm going to trust this. God, if this is not me, I need you to show this to me. I need you to make this so abundantly clear that this is exactly what I'm supposed to do and that we are supposed to pivot. And so it was so hard, honestly, to continue doing the show knowing that we were going to be rerouted, but I didn't know what direction we were going in. And then so I got that revelation to pivot. And I would say about 2 weeks later, roughly about 2 weeks, I am sitting, of all places, I'm sitting outside of Starbucks with my laptop. And I'm kind of daydreaming. I was kind of frustrated at that point because they were just blaring the music and I feel like I could not concentrate. And so I simply was just like, okay, let me try to go outside and like try to find a better area to work, because this is worse than being at home and not getting anything done. So I just went outside and I was kind of just, I don't know, my mind was just all over the place. And out of nowhere, this memory popped in my head. And it was when me, my sister, and my little cousin, well, I say little, we were like all the same age. We were all very little. I was probably around the age of like maybe 5 to 6, like really young. But we would put on TV shows, and my grandma had a lamp that looked like the Pixar lamp, but it was tall. And so we would we would make our own TV shows as kids do. And my cousin would flip the light on me, kind of like my light panel I have there. He would flip the light panel on me and then, begin to say like action, and we would do breaking news. And so basically I was the news anchor. And then he showed me how I loved journalism. This is going to be so niche, but if anybody remembers the original Disney Channel movie, I think I had to Google this. I didn't even know who starred in it. I literally just typed in Disney Channel movie, spy movie. And lo and behold, after some research, I found it, and it was Harriet the Spy. Jennifer Stone played in it, and she actually was Harper from Wizards of Waverly Place. And so I loved this movie because she ran around with her little black composition notebook and like made notes and observations and interviewed people and got down to the real story. And that is something that I loved so much so that I then began to run around with a little black composition notebook and make observations of the things around me. And I loved the idea of journalism. I was even thinking about for college, going into communications, or I loved psychology, like all the different things. And so sitting there at that Starbucks, I begin to think, and I say to myself, and this is what sticks, I say, I want to be a journalist for Jesus. And then it snowballs. The Lord starts revealing so much about this, a journalist for Jesus and having kingdom conversations. So if you look at a calendar, I actually launched 513 Media on Rosh Hashanah, which that is September 22nd, and that is the Jewish New Year if you're not familiar. So you might be thinking to yourself, what does this have to do with you? You're not Jewish. What does this have to do with anything with what you're about to say? And I would say, you're right, I'm not Jewish, but the Lord established those feasts for his people. And I'm a follower of the Lord. I'm a believer in the Lord. And if you are a Christ follower, the feasts, it is in your nature to follow them. Even something so simple as in the spring around like April, March timeframe, when you get the itch to naturally start spring cleaning, look at a calendar and see when Passover is, because Passover implements deep cleaning your house. It's also known as kosher cleaning because they clean the leaven out of their homes for Passover because they can't have any leaven in their kitchens. They call it, like I said, they call it kosher clean. They like take boiling hot water and dump it all over the counters and things like that to kill any of the leaven in the house. And so we could honestly have a whole episode on Hebrew because there's so much when you dig deeper to the roots of things. so much revelation that when you start implementing it and that we have in our daily lives, the Hebrew background of everyday things. But when the Lord gave me the date, I did not realize that it was Rosh Hashanah, but once I did, I knew that he was up to something. I have taught this in previous episodes that Hebrew letters have numerical value and numbers have meanings behind them. And so that's what I mean, is that numbers and letters, like things just overlap and correlate. And there's so much revelation if you dig deeper that maybe you're not even aware of, but you're already taking part. So currently, because we did just pass Rosh Hashanah, we are currently in the year 5786 in the Hebrew. In the Gregorian calendar, we are about to enter 2026 on New Year's Eve. 5 is grace. And so when we were in the year 5785, it was known as the year of double grace because we were basically sandwiched between two fives. 5 is grace. 7 is completion. 8 is new beginnings. And 6 is connection. The 6th letter in the Hebrew alphabet is Vav. And so it literally looks like a hook or a nail. The Vav is all about connection and relationship, and it is similar to our conjunction. And so we cannot even get out of Genesis 1:1 without seeing the Vav. In the beginning, God created the heavens and Vav, the earth. There is a Vav between heavens and earth. And I believe that this year you will see a connection between heaven and earth. The number one place you see the most amount of the use of Vav is in Exodus 27 in the building of the tabernacle. Exodus 27, 9 through 10. You shall also make the court of the tabernacle. For the south side there shall be hangings of the court made of fine woven linen, 100 cubits for one side. And its 20 pillars and their 20 sockets shall be bronze. The hooks of the pillars and their bands shall be silver. The Hebrew word for curtains and hangings is the same word for the parchment of the Torah scroll. So likewise, the word in Hebrew for pillars is the same word for the columns in the Torah scroll. In the tabernacle, the curtains were held up by vavim. So basically it's the plural of vav, hooks that hold two things together. So this year is a connection. This is a connection between heaven and earth, connection between male and female. I believe marriages are going to be restored in 5786. I believe that femininity and masculinity are going to come to order, and fake gender ideologies and lies are going to be destroyed. This is the year men and women are going to come around the table and prophesy the word of the Lord. On the day of Vav, on the 6th day, God created man and woman in his image. And so if you have not picked it up by now, the show is not going anywhere. This is simply a pivot. This is not a goodbye. This is the last episode of Proverbs 31 Creatives. But next week, Heavenly Chronicles will start, proclaiming and recording what heaven is doing on earth. 1 Chronicles 16:9, verse 12. Sing to him, yes, sing his praises. Tell everyone about his wonderful deeds. Exalt in his holy name. Rejoice, you who worship the Lord. Search for the Lord and for his strength. Continually seek him. Remember the wonders he has performed, his miracles and the rulings he has given. This will be journalism for Jesus, and I could not be more excited. My first guest is near and dear to my heart, and I cannot wait for you to hear that episode next week. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for the last 15 months and 50 episodes of Proverbs 31 Creatives. The best is truly yet to come. I will talk to you guys next week. I have been praying for you, and I will continue to pray for you. I love you, and I will talk to you so soon. Have a great rest of your week. I hope this episode blessed you today. If it did, please rate and review the show. It helps grow the podcast to reach more Proverbs 31 creatives just like you. Don't forget to follow the show so you'll automatically be notified when the next episode drops. I'll be praying for you. See you next week.